Yashodanandana Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Founder of Chaya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajrakataya Astacharsha Sri Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Sahaya Thakur Ki Jai. Namaskar Sri Krishna Chaitanya Bhavanithananda Sri Vedic Radha Sri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Ki Jai. Maya Pura Jagannath Puridan Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Gaur Premanand. All glory to the Son of the devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory to the Son of the devotees. Hare Krishna. All glory to the Son of the devotees. Hare Krishna. Glories to Shri Shri Guru and Govind. Today's I just wanted to be so reading from the 9th canto, which we all have memorized by now. It's called Liberation. Chapter 7, the descendants of King Mandata. So the first few verses are lists of names and the activities of the named people. And then we have a verse for the purport, which is number 7. So I guess I'll chant previous verses and read the translations, and then we'll do 7. We'll do 7 together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 before we started, one question for you. What does Braja Jana Ranjana mean? Does anybody know? Braja Jana Ranjana?
Who is giving delight to the residents of the Braja?
You got it. You have a scholar here. So we don't, some of the songs we don't do translations of, so we just say them without actually knowing what they mean. So that's one of the phrases that a lot of people don't know. So it's good to review the meanings of the song. Okay, so I'll read three. Vrindavan avidita cha vadan vai Vishnu Shakti Drik Nagalabha Hara Sarpad Abhayan Smaratam Ivan. There in Rasagala, the lower region of the universe, Purukutsa, being empowered by Lord Vishnu, was able to kill all the Gandharvas who deserved to be killed. Purukuta received the benediction from the serpents that anyone who remembers this history of his being brought by Narmada to the lower region of the universe will be assured of safety from the attack of snakes. So, also if we celebrate Govardhan Puja, we can be safe from the attack of snakes too. Chasadasya Purukutso Yo Na Ranyasya Deikrit Hayashavas Tatsutas Tasmad Harunota Tribandanaha. The son of Purukutsa was Chasadasyu, who was the father of Anaranya. Anaranya's son was Haryashva, the father of Praruna. Praruna was the father of Tribandana. The son of, Atasya Satyavarta Putras Trisanku Iti Vishrita Paptas Chandalatam Shapad Guru Koshikar Tejasa Sasha Risho Gatasvagam Adya Pidviji Divi Drishite Patito Vak Shiras Devya Devais Tenaiva Stambito. The son of Tribandana was Satyavrata, who was celebrated by the name Trishanku, because he kidnapped the daughter of a Brahmana when she was being married. Father cursed him to become a Chandala, lower than a Shudra. Thereafter, for the influence of Vishwamitra, he went to the higher planetary systems, the heavenly planets, in his material body. But because of the prowess of the demigods, he fell back downward. Nonetheless, by the power of Vishwamitra, he did not fall all the way down. Even today, he can be seen hanging in the sky, head downward. Interesting karma. Huh? So we'll chant a 7 together. Go through the words. Try Sankavaha.
Krishna is here.
Yeah, we'll chant the words one at a time. Try Sankava.
Trasankava.
Harishchandraha.
Harishchandra.
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo.
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo.
Yatnimatam.
Yanitam.
Abhut.
Abhut.
Yudham.
Yudham.
Pakshino.
Pakshino.
Bahu Varshikam.
Bahu Varshikam.
Try Sankavo Harishchandro.
Trasankava Harishchandra.
Vishwamitra Vishishtayo.
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo.
Yanimitam Abhut Yudham.
Yanitam. Abhut Yudham.
Pakshinor Bahu Varshikam.
Pakshinar Bahu Varshikam.
Try Sankava Harishchandro.
Trasankava Harishchandra.
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Yanimitam Abhuyudam
Janimitam Abhudam
Pakshinor Bahuvarshikam
Pakshinar Bahuvarshikam
Trisankavo Harishchandro
Trisankava Harishchandro
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Yanimitam Abhuyudam
Yanimitam Abhudam
Pakshinor Bahuvarshikam
Pakshinar Bahuvarshikam
Trisankavo Harishchandro
Trisankava Harishchandro
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Yanimitam Abhuyudam
Yanimitam Abhudam
Pakshinor Bahuvarshikam
Pakshinar Bahuvarshikam
Shante, s'il vous plaît.
Trisankava Harishchandro
Trisankavo Harishchandro
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Yanimitam Abhudam
Yanimitam Abhuyudam
Pakshinar Bahuvarshikam
Pakshinor Bahuvarshikam
Trisankavo Harishchandro
Trisankava Harishchandro
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Yanimitam Abhuyudam
Yanimitam Abhudam
Pakshinor Bahuvarshikam
Pakshinar Bahuvarshikam
Trisankavo
Harishchandro
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Yamnitam Abhyutam
Yanimitam Abhudam
Rakshitni Bhavu Vashitam
Pakshinar Bahuvarshikam
Trisankavo Harishchandro
Trisankava Harishchandro
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo Yanimitam Abhudam Pakshinar Bahuvarshikam
Trisankava,
Trisankava,
the son of Trisanku,
the son of Krishna,
Harishchandra,
Harishchandra,
by the name Harishchandra,
by the name Harishchandra,
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo,
Vishwamitra Vasishtayo,
between Vishwamitra and Vashishta,
between Vishwamitra and Vashishta,
Yanimitam,
Jatnimitam,
because of Harishchandra,
because of Harishchandra,
Adbhut,
Abhut,
there was Yudham,
Yudham,
a great fight,
a great fight,
Pakshino,
Pakshino,
both of whom had been converted into birds,
both of whom have been converted into birds,
Bahuvarshikam,
Bahuvarshikam,
many years.
for many years.
Translation: the son of Shankur was Harishchandra. Because of Harishchandra, there was a quarrel between Vishwamitra and Vashishta, who for many years fought one another, having been transformed into birds. Purport: by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Vishwamitra and Vashishta were always inimical. Formerly, Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya, and by undergoing severe austerities, he wanted to become a Brahmana. But Vashishta would not agree to accept him. In this way, there was always a disagreement between the two. Later, however, Vashishta accepted him because of Vishwamitra's quality of forgiveness. Once Harishchandra performed a yajna for which Vishwamitra was the priest. So Vishwamitra, being angry at Harishchandra, took away all his possessions, claiming them as a contribution of dakshina. Vashishta, however, did not like this, and therefore a fight arose between Vashishta and Vishwamitra. The fighting became so severe that each of them cursed the other. One of them said, "May you become a bird," and the other said, "May you become a duck." Thus, both of them became birds and continued fighting for many years because of Harishchandra. You can see that such a great mystic yogi as Subhara became a victim of sense gratification, and such great sages as Vashishta and Vishwamitra became birds. This is the material world. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punarvarti Norjuna. Within this material world or this material universe, however elevated one may be in material qualities, one must suffer the conditions of birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma Mrityur Jara Yadi. Therefore, Krishna says that this material world is simply miserable. Ukale Mashashvata. Bhagavatam says, Padam Padam Yadvi Padam. At every step there is danger. Therefore, because the Krishna consciousness movement provides the opportunity for the human being to get out of this material world, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, this movement is the greatest benediction in human society. Jnanatimurandasya Rajarashlakaya Chakshun Kamyena Tasma Shri Vedama Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastayamale Bhakti Yoga Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Srimad Bhagavatam Kathas Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Shri Vedic Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Kalpa Vishwa, Kripa Sri Vishwa, Patisan Pavani, Hare Shabbat. I'm so happy to have a purport that mentions the Hare Krishna mantra. Thank you so much, Shiva.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
So there's so many interesting points made in this purport, which we'll go through bit by bit. So, thank you so much. Prabhupada starts off the bat by talking about how Vishwamitra and Vashishta were always animicals. So they are highly elevated, they're both sages, great sages. This material world is so contaminating, even people who are highly elevated in divine knowledge sometimes become inimical to each other. Of course, if we're situated in the mode of goodness, we see all living entities equally. But it's actually hard to be fixed in that conception of seeing all people equally. Sometimes we love some people and we hate other people, although they're all Krishna's children and they all deserve to be encouraged in devotional service. So then we hear that Vishwamitra was a Kshatriya and he wanted to become a Brahmana, but Vashishta would not agree to accept him. So it's a popular misunderstanding that somebody is a Kshatriya or a Brahmana by birth, but it's actually by qualities. There's one verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Tatavarnyam Mayashristam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Krishna says that he created these four varnas by guna and karma, by qualities and by work. It doesn't say by janma, it's not there. It's not there in the Sanskrit. It's by guna, qualities, and janma, karma, activities. So if somebody is a Kshatriya, but they acquire the qualities of a Brahmana, then they should be accepted as a Brahmana. So if Vashishta didn't agree to accept him, maybe he felt he hadn't acquired the qualities of a Brahmana. Qualities of a Brahmana are listed in different places in the Shastra. They're listed in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Listed in the 18th chapter, verse 42, Samadama Pasocham Shantir Arjam Evacham and Vidanam Astikam Amakamas Bhavajam. Samadama Pasocham. Sama means peacefulness, Dhamma means sense control, Tapa means austerity, Shocham means purity or cleanliness. Shantir Arjam Evacha. Shantir is like tolerance or forgiveness, and Arjuna is honesty. Jnana Vijnana is theoretical knowledge and practical realization, and Astikam is religiousness. These are the qualities that the Brahman is supposed to have. And ideally, if Vishwamitra actually acquired those qualities by his austerities, then Vashishta should have accepted him. But I don't know the details of why Vashishta didn't. So in this way, there's a disagreement between the two. Later, however, Vashishta accepted him because of Vishwamitra's quality of forgiveness. So there's one reference where it says that of all the medical qualities, forgiveness is the supreme quality. And he talks about this yagya and that how as Guru Dakshin, Vishwamitra took all the possessions of Harishchandra. So when there's a sacrifice, there's different things that have to be there for it to be a proper sacrifice. And if they're not there, it's considered to be contaminated by the mode of ignorance. And there's this nice verse, 17:13 in Bhagavad Gita. It goes, Vidi hinam ashishtanam mantra hinam adakshinam shadaviritam yagyam tamasam parachakshati, which says that if a sacrifice doesn't follow the scriptures, Vidi hinam, ashishtanam, if there isn't distribution of prasadam, should always be distribution of prasadam. Mantranam, if the mantras aren't chanted, bona fide Vedic mantras aren't chanted, adakshinam, or there's no remuneration to the priest, you don't give the priest a donation. Shadavirtam, or if you don't have faith. If you have any of these defects, then it's considered contaminated by the mode of ignorance. So Vishwamitra is right in accepting some dakshin, but it's not expected that one takes all one's disciples' possessions as dakshin. So Vashishta thought that was out of order. Yeah, there's a disagreement. And because they're highly qualified spiritual personalities, their curses were very effective. So when one of them cursed one to be a bird and the other one cursed one to be a duck, it actually happened. So it's a theme in the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Vedic literatures that we shouldn't make a Brahmana angry or a sage angry because he might get cursed. And that's always relevant because we can have a nice human body and then be cursed to be like the sons of Kuvera, Mani Gruva, Nama Kuvara, were cursed by Narada to become trees because of their sporting naked with damsels in heaven in the presence of Narada Muni. So it's important that when we're in the presence of a great spiritual personalities that we behave ourselves so that they don't curse us. And then Prabhupada makes the point that even highly elevated people, they can fall down from their position, which is a theme in this section. Mitsubara, he went from being a mystic, renounced person to becoming a householder, and Vashishta and Vishwamitra became birds. So Prabhupada uses this as an opportunity to remind us that the material world is a miserable place. And although we may feel that we're comfortably situated now, if we think that we're going to remain comfortably situated in the material world, we're in complete illusion. And he quotes Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. So dukkhalayam means place of misery, and ashashvatam is temporary. So this is a quote from Bhagavad Gita 8:15. What's interesting is in the next chapter, to review my Bhagavad Gita verses, I chant a chapter every day. So on the 9th day of the month, I chant the 9th chapter. And I just finished chanting the 9th chapter, and there's a verse 933. It says, Anityam Asukham Lokam, which means exactly the same thing. Anitya means not eternal, and Asukha means not happy. Lokam means place. So not only in chapter 8 does Krishna say this place is temporary and miserable, in chapter 9 he also says it's temporary and miserable. So he's trying to drive the point home by repeating it. And then Prabhupada quotes from the Bhagavatam, Padam Yadvid Patam Tesham. That's actually one line of a nice verse, which I'll read the whole verse of, which unfortunately I didn't memorize. There's a very famous artist in the Hare Krishna movement named Pushkar, and he's really into the Shastra in addition to being into painting. And he always gets on my case for knowing too many Bhagavad Gita verses and too few Bhagavatam verses. So this is a Bhagavatam verse. So Samasritaye pada palava plavam Mahatpatam Pune Yeshomare Vambidir Vatsa Padam Param Padam Yad Padam Natesham, which I'm amazed I remember the Sanskrit, but I don't have it perfectly memorized in English, so I'd like to say, because it's a famous verse that should be mentioned, because Prabhupada mentioned it here in prayer for it. Actually quotes it in Bhagavad Gita. It's such an important verse, and it's from the Brahma's prayers after Brahma was humbled when Krishna had made replicas of his calves and cowherd boys, and Brahma stole them away, and he realized he committed a great offense. He offered all these nice prayers to Krishna, and this is one of them. Samasritaye padapalava palavam mahatpadam punyaya shomare avambadevatsa padam yadvipatam vitesham. For one who's accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation, and is famous as Mukunda, the giver of mukti. The ocean of the material world is like the water contained in the calf's hoofprint. Parampadam, or the place where there are no material miseries, or Vaikuntha, is his goal, not the place where there's danger at every step. So it's a beautiful verse if you want to add it to the verses you know it. It sounds very nice because there's a lot of rhyming in it. It's 10:14:58, and if you don't carry around the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam with you, it's quoted in 251 of Bhagavad Gita, which is how I ended up memorizing it at one point. So, this material world is a miserable place. So, the goal is to get out of the material world. And we're in the material world because we're attracted to enjoying sense gratification, and we're not attracted to serving Krishna. In the spiritual world, everyone serves Krishna in some relationship. There's 5 different rasas. Some have a neutral relationship, like the the grass and the trees and the cows, and some have a service relationship, like some of the cowboy boys. They like to serve Krishna, like to fan Krishna and massage his feet. And then there's like the cowboy boys who like to play with Krishna. They have all kinds of games they play, like hide and seek, and dress up as different animals, and they wrestle and all kinds of things. And then there's a parental devotee, it's like Yashoda's famous. We say Yashomati Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. So then we spend a whole month thinking about Yashoda and how she bound up her son with rope. And then of course Radharani, we see every day on the altars, the beloved of Krishna. So every soul has a relationship in one of these 5 rasas with Krishna or one of his incarnations like Rama and Nrsimha. And we enjoy transcendental ecstasy serving Krishna in the spiritual world. But because we decided to do something else, we turned away from Krishna. We have to live in this material world where people have an alternative lifestyle. And everyone's here is conditioned by the 3 modes of material nature. Some people are conditioned by goodness, some by passion, some by ignorance, some by mixture. But in the age of Kali, mode of ignorance is prominent. Therefore, people are just like, two-legged animals. They're just absorbing the base animal capacities. And they think if they can somehow enjoy eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, that their life is perfect. But that's actually not a fact. And so until we revive the consciousness of the residents of the spiritual world, we can't attain the spiritual world. So we have to awaken our dormant propensity to serve Krishna. So this relationship of love of Krishna is already there. Prabhupada many times quoted this verse. I'll tell you how many times he quoted it. It's actually because it calls attention to it. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Siddha Gavinaya Nitya Siddha Krishna. That's good enough. Nitya Siddha Krishna. He quoted it 168 times, so I felt it was important. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kavanai Shravanadi Shruti Chite Kare. It's a Bengali verse. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, the love of Godhead is eternally established in the heart. We already have the love of God. It's not like the Guru has love of God and he gives us his, but actually he teaches us how we can awaken ours, and he gives us his blessings, so we'll be successful. So Nitya Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kavanaya, it's not to be gained from an outside source. Shravanadi, when one engages in devotional service, beginning with hearing, Shuddha Chitte, whose consciousness is purified, and that love which is already there, Karya Udaya, becomes manifest. So, the main process for spiritual realization in this age is chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. There's one Vedic literature called the Kali Santarana Upanishad, which is a conversation between 2 of the main people in our sampradaya, Lord Brahma and his most devoted, his most devotional son, who was empowered with Bhakti Shakti, Narada Muni. Narada inquires from Brahma, what is the best process of religion in this age? And Lord Brahma says, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Iti Shadashakam Nam Nam, these 16 names, Kali Kamasha Nashanam, destroy all the impurities of this age of Kali. Nata Parataro Haya, there's no superior process. Sarva Vedeshu Drishati, to be seen in all the Vedas. So sometimes in our kirtans, we get tired of chanting Hare Krishna and we chant some other mantras. But actually, that's not a good idea, because the main mantra for this age is the Hare Krishna mantra. And that's the mantra that Prabhupada would always encourage people to chant. And especially during the Mangala Arati, encouraged us to chant the Sri Krishna Chaitanya and the Hare Krishna mantra according to the morning tune. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Apparently there's a kirtan wala named Krishna Kirtan from Bangladesh, who introduced another melody that became popular to sing during the Mangala Arati, which isn't something Prabhupada gave us. And some people like Jayadvaita Swami object to people singing it because it wasn't something that Prabhupada gave us to sing at that period of time. And then some people chant what's called the Prabhupada melody, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That also he didn't recommend us singing during the Mangala Arati. Only what's called the morning tune that has those two parts. There's another high part that it, let's see. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. That's alright because it's a variation of the second part. But at any rate, Prabhupada really promoted the chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And there's one purport in Bhagavad Gita. There's a purport to 8.5. 8.5 is that verse. Ante kali shamameva svarmukha klevam saprati. The Prati said, Madhvavam yati not yasta shamshaya. Whoever at the end of life quits his body, remembering me alone, and once attains my nature, of this there is no doubt. So in that purport, he says, therefore one should constantly, incessantly chant the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya advises that one be as tolerant as the tree, Taror, peace, the history now. There may be so many impediments for a person who is chanting Hare Krishna. Anybody have any impediments? Sometimes we're tired, sometimes, of course, when we do Sankirtan in the city, sometimes the police object. We're just chanting Hare Krishna, promoting the Yuga Dharma as good citizens of the kingdom of God, and they're objecting. Nonetheless, tolerating all these impediments, one should continue to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So that at the end of one's life, one can have the full benefit of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada thought it was so important that he mentioned the entire mantra twice. Once upon a time I was giving a class in Rotterdam, and they read the purport in Dutch to the congregation. And I noticed, I don't know anything about Dutch. I only know like 2 words or something. But they only had the mantra in the purport once because they didn't want to bother to put it in twice. They thought it was too much work or something. So even this is such a degraded age that we can't even put the mantra in the purport twice because it's too much work. But anyway, Prabhupada promoted this, and if you think about it, in the Nectar of Devotion, there's like 64 different items of devotional service. So when he initiated people, he could have told them to do anything. He could have told them to read the Bhagavatam 2 hours a day, or he could have told them to worship Radha Krishna deities, or there's so many things, so many bona fide devotional activities he could have advised people to do when they were initiated. But what did he do? He said, chant 16 rounds, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because it's the main mantra for this age. And not even we're not even the only people who sing it. Before I became a devotee, I went to Swami Muktananda's ashram in South Fallsburg, New York, where they're also vegetarian, and they also chant mantras, and one of the mantras they chant is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, because they know it's mentioned in the Vedas, is recommended for this age. So it's a very mainstream mantra. It's the best mantra for Kali Yuga, and it says it can free us from all the anomalies of this age. So basically, this age is the age of Kali because everyone's contaminated by the mode of ignorance. But we can come up to the mode of goodness, and the whole age can be transformed into Satya Yuga. And that's actually described in this very volume in chapter 10, toward the end. If people take to the Sankirtan movement of chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, they will certainly be freed from the contamination of Kali Yuga. And the people of this age will be happy as people were in Satya Yuga, the golden age. Anyone, anywhere, can easily take to this Hare Krishna movement. One need only chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, observe the rules and regulations, and stay free from the contamination of sinful life. Even if one is sinful and cannot give up sinful life immediately, if he chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with devotion and faith, he will certainly be freed from all sinful activities and his life will be successful. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. This is the blessing of Lord Ramachandra, who has appeared in this age of Kali as Lord Gaurasundar. So this beautiful purport is in the abbreviated Ram Lila, which is in chapter 10 of this very canto 9, and it's part of the purport to this verse. Lord Ramachandra became king during Treta Yuga, but because of his good government, the age was like Satya Yuga. Everyone was religious and completely happy. So Prabhupada makes the point in the purport that even though it's the age of darkness, the age of Kali, that if people seriously take the chanting of Hare Krishna, they'll come up to the mode of goodness, and everyone will be happy. And he says, even if people are addicted to sinful activities, if they take up the chanting of Hare Krishna, they'll become purified from the tendency to commit sinful activities. It's an offense to maintain the desire to commit sinful activities while chanting the holy name. But if you're sinful, you can chant the holy name with the desire to give up sinful activities, and that's considered okay. It's just that you shouldn't chant Hare Krishna and commit sinful activities and think everything's all right. But you should think somehow or other, I have to give up these sinful activities, and this holy name is so powerful that by chanting, I'll be able to give them up. And that's okay. And then after we give them up, then we can chant in a very positive, spiritual way. So those are some thoughts on this wonderful purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Does anybody have any questions or comments or realizations about anybody know the details of the war between Vasishtha and Vishwamitra in greater detail?
It's mentioned in the Ramayana.
Oh yeah?
All the details.
Oh, okay. Now we know where to find.
Should I say the details?
If you like, yeah, our class ends at
No,
9.
I don't remember so well. But Vishwamitra did some tapasya. He wanted to be recognized as a Brahmarshi.
Mhm.
I think so. But Brahma told him, I cannot give that blessing. You can be something like a Rajarishi.
Ah.
But that was not enough, because with that position he was not recognized by Vasishtha, who is a Brahmarshi.
Nice.
He was always feeling inferior. So he did more tapasya and tried to get more title like this. And Brahma, because it was creating so much disturbance in the universe, that Brahma finally gave him and asked to Vasishtha to recognize him. Either, maybe I didn't remember well, but either Brahma didn't give him the title, but asked to Vasishtha to recognize him as if like this. They were finally cooperating.
It's actually a long story actually.
Yeah.
Earlier he was a king. Vishwamitra was a king.
Right.
So he wanted to steal the Kamdhenu of Vashishta. So that time Vashishta, Vishwamitra saw how Brahmanical power is much more
Right.
than the Kshatriya. Then he wanted to be Brahman.
I see.
But all of the Vashishta was the head of the Brahman society. So unless he accepts him, nobody will recognize him as Brahmarshi. Then the fight was going on like this, and one day it's a long story, and finally one day he was hiding behind the house of the Vashishta to kill him.
Whoa.
So somehow there was conversation going on between Vashishta and his wife Arundhati. So that day there was a lack of salt in their house. So Vashishta told Arundhati to go to the house of the Vishwamitra and borrow some salt. And meanwhile there was something happened, like he killed many sons of Vashishta, and he did a lot of loss in his family also. So then Vashishta told, actually I don't have any envy toward Vishwamitra, but he is not qualified yet, that's why I am not recognizing him. So then while hiding, he heard all of the dialogue between them. Then he came back and he begged pardon to Vashishta, and then later he declared him as Brahmarshi. That was the end of this story of the fighting.
Yeah, so in the mature world, we're always trying to become greater than somebody else. Therefore, the Chaitanya advises Trinada peace and Vishnu. If we want to get out of the mature world, we have to practice the opposite, being humble. We don't need to try to become greater than this person or that person. We just have to please Krishna by engaging in devotional service. By His mercy, we attain spiritual realm. So sometimes it's important that we chant the Hare Krishna mantra with complete absorption to attain Krishna consciousness sooner. In the Dhruva Maharaj Leela, Dhruva attained success in 6 months by chanting the mantra that his guru gave him, because it was very fixed in the chanting. He wasn't disturbed by anything, just completely focused. So this devotional service is very powerful, but it has to be done in a very focused way to attain. There's a nice verse that They don't. We quote it in New York actually before we recite the 10 offenses. It's Audi 8:16. You got it. Ujana Karyadi Shravana Kirtana Tabu Tana Paya Krishna Pade Premandana. If one is infested with the 10 offenses and the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and despite his endeavor to chant the holy names for many births, he will not get the love of Godhead. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. So it's important that we try to avoid the 10 offenses, and that we also chant attentively, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes the point in the Harinam Chintamani that even if we eliminate the 10 offenses, if we chant inattentively, we won't attain Krishna. But if somehow or other we can focus our mind with attention on the Hare Krishna mantra, we can become so purified that we don't commit the 10 offenses, and we do attain Krishna. So by that analysis, the worst offense is inattention. Because if we can conquer inattention, we can conquer all the other offenses, and we can conquer Krishna. So it's very important that we chant very attentively, try to hear each word of the mantra, and remember that the mantra is non-different from Krishna. And remember that the goal is love of Krishna. We're not trying to be better situated in the material world, and we're not trying to become liberated. And we're trying to awaken that love of Krishna that's already there in the heart. And then the more we can chant in that way, with complete concentration, and remembering that the name is non-different from Krishna, and that the goal is love of Krishna, and it'll be very powerful. And the minimum, I find the minimum result of trying to chant attentively is that you'll be inspired to chant the next day. You'll look forward to chanting. So, if you try to chant attentively, when the next day comes, you'll be eager to try and chant attentively again. Whereas if you don't chant attentively, you may not feel like chanting. But, so we do, and anything that you do, anything that you practice, you always get better at. You know, it's not like you practice something for years and you don't get better at it. You know, so we do get better. On the chanting, become more focused, and then it becomes more powerful. So it's really, we're very fortunate because everyone in this material world is conditioned by the 3 modes of material nature, and they have deep ingrained habits that they can't break out of. And so many, like there's people who are addicted to cigarettes, and they try for years to give them up, and they can't. I don't know if in the last 2 minutes I can tell about my friend Ananta Nitai. He met the devotees, he got the books, you know, but he was smoking cigarettes, and then he read in the books that it wasn't good to smoke cigarettes and chant Hare Krishna at the same time. So he realized that because they were pulling him in 2 different directions, you know, that one of them would have to go. So he would chant a round of japa, and then he would smoke a cigarette, and then he would chant a round of japa. And he realized because they're incompatible, one of them was going to win out, you know. And it turned out the chanting of Hare Krishna won out. But the most amazing thing about him is like I try to chant 3 hours a day, and my friends in New York, they chant 4 hours a day. And before the COVID, they would chant 6 hours a day in public. But my friend Ananda Nitai invited me to do Harinam for 12 hours a day.
In the street?
Yeah, in the streets of Dublin on 3 different occasions we did 12-hour Harinams from 10 to 10. And not only that, he convinced 2 of my friends from Newcastle, England to fly to Dublin and do a 24-hour hard no. Because on the weekends, the people stay up all night partying, so if you start at like 4 o'clock Saturday, there's still people partying from the night before, and then you go to 4 o'clock Sunday, there's always people in the street. So he ended up having that much faith in the holy name, but he started out being a guy who chanted around a japa, smoked a cigarette, and chanted around a japa. So that's like evidence of that truth of Prabhupada says in the purport that in the beginning, if you can't give up sinful activities, it's all right, just chant Hare Krishna, and you'll be able to give them up. So sometimes in our preaching work, we may experience people who are having difficulty with different addictions to the 4 things we try to give up. So we can be very encouraging. Just chant Hare Krishna, and Krishna will give you the strength to get beyond it. Don't worry about it. Just try to chant very nicely every day. So, it's actually exactly.
I just have a very quick question for Prabhuji. You mentioned about some 64 qualities in a Brahmana, where I can find to read more about it in details.
Well, there's 64 items of devotional service that you can perform there. And the qualities of the Brahmana, they're listed in verse 1842 of Bhagavad Gita. But there's also places in the Bhagavatam where the qualities of the Brahmana are listed. I think there's a list of 12 qualities of Brahmana.
Yeah, because I never saw the 64 one, so it was very
No, yes, no, there's not 64. But there's 64 items of devotional service.
Okay.
Yeah. In the Nectar of Devotion, there's the 9 items of devotional service and then the 5 most important. But those are all some of the 64 items of devotional service that include all kinds of things like, observing the Kartik and worshiping the Tulsi and, many things. Yeah. But there are, in addition to that list of Brahminical qualities in the in addition to that list of the Brahminical qualities in the Gita, there's also a list in the Bhagavatam, and some of them are different. Like if you do a search for qualities in Brahmana, you can find let's see. It'll take me a little time to figure it out, but I can find the other verse. But there's a verse in the Bhagavatam that tells. And some of them overlap and some of them are different. And then the qualities of a Vaishnava, it's described there's 26 qualities of a pure devotee. So beyond the qualities of a Brahmana or the qualities of a Vaishnava. And it said that Brahmana, he just really has to know the Brahman feature of the personality of Godhead. But to be a qualified Brahmana, but a Vaishnava knows Bhagavan, Sri Krishna in full. So Vaishnava is more qualified. So it's better to learn and acquire the 26 qualities of devotee than the 12 qualities of the Brahmana listed in the Bhagavatam, or the, I don't know how many they are listed in 1842 of Bhagavad Gita. So we can end here and go on to the next part of our program. Thank you for your time. Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So